Welcome to the Run It Back Podcast, where we run back everything from the 80s and 90s. I'm Jason.
I'm Sarah.
And today we're running back Now and Then from 1995. And this is one of your favorites?
This is the best movie ever made.
Best movie ever. So number one. Number one.
I don't know. This is the first time I've seen it since I was a kid. But I mean, it's a pretty friggin' solid movie.
It's
what? Because you said you don't remember watching it at all.
I do now. Like, I've seen...
Hindsight?
I've seen parts of the movie just on TV. I don't think I saw the whole thing through.
What did you think? Did you like it? Did you enjoy it?
It wasn't terrible. It's also just not my type of movie.
It wasn't marketed towards you. It wasn't geared at you.
No.
I mean, it's very much a little girl's movie.
Yeah. I mean, I could see some things were a little hokey, but
nothing was hokey.
Nothing was hokey.
No.
Really. Like the Red Rover scene, and when they're little girls and that boy comes over, you could tell like they were trying to do everything gently. Like slam him to the ground gently without hurting him.
I don't know if they did it gently.
I mean, they weren't so... It was depicted as though they didn't.
Right.
But you could tell they... So you would rank this as your number one?
I don't know. You've asked me before what my favorite movie is, and I can't pick a favorite. I just don't know.
Throw like three... No specific order. What are three favorite movies? Obviously, this is one.
I seriously just don't know, but this was definitely a favorite when I was little, and it definitely held up. But I can't even make a list of favorites. I don't know. I'm incapable.
Just pick two other movies that you liked.
We got in an argument about this a week ago. You want to go again?
Hey, as many times as it takes.
I want to say that, okay, so Now and Then, in case you haven't seen it, it's the story of four little girls in 1970 and then again in like the 90s when they meet back up. And it is 100% like young Golden Girls.
That's
like,
a good comparison.
Almost all the Golden Girls are represented.
Alright, so like Blanche is obviously Teeny.
Teeny is Blanche. Chrissy is Rose.
Okay.
Chrissy's the one that's pregnant, is Rose. Roberta is Dorothy. And I mean, I guess that would leave Sam to be Sophia. She is kind of the
perfect.
She is kind of the wiser ones, but the first three definitely fit much closer. Yeah. That they're just young Golden Girls. Like, they're all going to move to Florida and sit on the lanai.
Alright, so they show them when they're young, and at the beginning of the movie they show each one's, like, awards or certificates.
Like what they...
So, Roberta becomes a physician.
She's an OBGYN.
So, she's an OB. Teeny is she an actor?
She's an actress. Yeah.
Chrissy...
is married to a dentist.
A housewife. And Samantha, she wrote the book.
She's a writer.
She's a writer.
Which is weird. Like, Sam never really said in here what she wanted to do. But all of the rest of them were like, yep, this is what I'm going to do when I was 11, and that's what I did.
It took me back because there's a lot of old, antiquated technology, like the tape deck in the car when she's explaining she doesn't want to go back home to Indiana.
The tape deck and the payphone.
She used a paper map.
She did.
Now, I remember there was one time when there was two times where we took road trips. One was by myself where I had a map. I also had, in my genius at the time, on Post-it notes, put every turn. And then I made them backwards so I could just rip them off.
Right.
As I went through each turn and threw it in the floor of my car.
Growing up as a kid with Dad, I was definitely the co-pilot. And he would just throw the map at me and be like, what road do we take? So it was real learn how to read a map on the fly.
Well, you obviously can't do that now because you are geographically challenged.
I'm very geographically challenged. I cannot tell you how we got somewhere, but I can read a map like a motherfucker.
But you can't navigate.
I can navigate as long as you don't ask me how we got here. Like, I could read the map and tell you when to turn and where to go. Just don't be like, hey, how did we do this?
Sometimes when you go places by yourself, I wonder if you remember where you parked the car.
Google will tell you where you parked the car.
It will. But so they have the tape deck, the map,
the payphone,
the actual camera.
an actual camera and that big ass can of Aquanet on Chrissy's vanity.
Yes, there were...
that blue, unscented Aquanet.
No, I didn't pay that close attention. But there were quite a few products.
Took me all back to the 90s.
The movie. They had Aquanet, Jiffy Pop, Marlboro case.
Yeah.
Like, they showed that a lot. There
was a lot of Coke in glass bottles in the flashbacks to the 70s.
How many Cokes do you think they drank?
They drank a lot of Coke.
Just on scene.
They drank a lot of Coke.
Especially as the younger girls, like, making their plan to trying to get money to buy their treehouse, they had Cokes at the diner. They had Cokes.
They had Black Cows. They had Coke floats.
Coke floats. Either way.
I'm just saying. So, we have it on mute in the background here. It's showing all of the young girls getting ready. And Roberta, she's kind of the tomboy of the group, has gotten her boobs. And they're bigger than everybody else's, and she is not having it. So she has on a bra, and then she's taking tape and, like, taping them down so she's trying to be as flat as she can. Now, when we watched this scene originally, you were like, why is she taping her boobs down? Because it's embarrassing to have big boobs before anybody else. And
but this girl here, Teeny, she was trying to get big boobs.
Right. Well, every girl's different. We have a friend that we know we went to school with. I'm not going to out her on here, obviously. She had boobs before anybody else as well. And she would wear 2 sports bras and then tape them down.
2 sports bras?
2 sports bras and then tape them down.
Jesus.
Yeah, she's proud of them now, though. It's okay. It's not me, just in case it was one of those I have a friend thing. It wasn't me. I was teeny. I've always been proud of my big boobs.
I also thought it was weird they lived in the Gaslight edition.
To be fair,
I was like, that is...
Gaslight meant nothing at the time. It doesn't have the connotation.
I looked up. While they were filming the movie, the name was supposed to be the Gaslight edition. They changed the name of the movie in the middle of filming.
Oh.
Obviously, it's better.
To be fair, Gaslight didn't have the connotation with it that it does now. Like, nobody's trying to gaslight these little girls.
You never know.
And Now and Then is a much better name than Gaslight Edition. That would have been awful.
Yeah, I don't think it would have had the same... I think Now and Then works.
Right.
For them, at least.
So, like I said, I haven't watched this movie since I was little. But I 100% Total Recall remember Roberta growing up to be gay. And she didn't.
Other fun fact, the movie was written that she was supposed to be a lesbian. They never really mentioned that.
I definitely thought she was a lesbian. Well, in one scene, Chrissy says, at least Roberta's normal. She lives in sin with her boyfriend, but she's normal. But I have 100% memories of her being a lesbian. I don't know if I thought maybe it was just because she was played by Rosie O'Donnell and she's a lesbian. So I Googled when she came out, and it was significantly after this movie. So I don't know. Yeah. I guess she just had the characteristics I thought a lesbian would have had when I was 11 years old. I don't know.
Now, I'm going to bring this up later in the reviews part.
Uh-huh.
But I thought the casting was about as perfect as you can get to get random people.
Right.
They said they cast the younger girls first, and then cast the older version.
Right.
But I could see, like, Christina Ricci's general features, the dark hair.
And Demi Moore?
No, Rosie.
Christina Ricci's Rosie O'Donnell. Yeah. Sorry. I do that a lot.
A lot of we'll get to that later, but a lot of people had problems. Like, Christina Ricci's not going to grow up to be Rosie O'Donnell. That's BS. And I was like, I can kind of see it. Like, but all of them are viable.
Yeah, I think it all works.
Because I thought they were all pretty good. But I did have one problem.
Okay, what's your problem?
Okay, the scene that's on now is them counting their money for their treehouse. They're like $23 short.
Right, their Sears prefab treehouse that's $129.95. I mean,
a legit treehouse.
I could have lived in that treehouse and been fine.
You can't buy the shed we have out back that's just has 2 doors on it.
No.
For that price.
Not at all.
Like, okay, so here's my problem. This whole thing is them doing things to get money to get this treehouse.
Right.
And then towards the end of the movie, they just have this treehouse, and it's like, dude, you gotta include the
Well, when we thought they initially,
payoff.
when we thought they had the treehouse, it was, I guess they were looking at like a floor model.
Left and climbed the fence. They were just, it was
sampling
just their stock.
Right. But then it does show at the end, like them decorating it, like Chrissy's hanging her pink curtains.
But it just kind of like there was no like, guys, we got the money. Let's go. Mom.
Chrissy was definitely more into the treehouse than the rest of them. Yeah. Like, anytime they spent money, she was mad about it.
So, same saying, Janine Garofalo is their waiter.
Excuse me, Janine Garofalo is their waiter / psychic medium.
Yeah, psychic
/
reader.
witch.
But this movie had a ton of people.
It did have a lot of people. It had Brendan Fraser, and he is uncredited in the movie. He was so unknown at the time. He was completely uncredited.
So you got the 4 main girls. Then you got the younger and older versions of those. Janine Garofalo, Hank Azaria, Bonnie Hunt is Chrissy's mom. Mm-hmm. Rumor Willis is Samantha's little sister that crawls into bed with her.
Right.
Which kind of makes sense because Demi Moore's her mom. Like you said, Brendan Fraser. There was a lot of people just showing up throughout this movie.
So they're at this diner drinking their Coke floats and taking a sex quiz from a Cosmopolitan magazine, which is so funny because my friends and I absolutely took sex quizzes from Cosmo magazines at like 10 or 11 years old when we had no idea what any of it was.
I like how
it was just spot on.
They're just like, what's your answer? Oh, yeah, of course. Like, just...
Well, their roles for those two, at least, were pretty set in stone at that time. Like, she was stuffing her, like, Teeny was stuffing her bra with pudding-filled balloons to get some double Ds.
Gotta get that texture right.
And, yeah, that's right. And poor little Chrissy has no idea what sex is, and her mom convinces, like, garden metaphors her to death into that it's all planting of seeds and watering cans, and she has no idea what's going on. She thinks you can get pregnant from a French kiss. So their roles are pretty set. Their answers are pretty predictable for a Cosmo. I learned the other day from you that guys also didn't use Ouija boards and like light as a feather, stiff as a board. Because in this movie they have a bunch of seances and they're all like in the graveyard. We didn't go graveyard crazy. But like we absolutely had seances and tried to make each other float. And...
Nope.
No?
None of that garbage.
Man, you had a really sad childhood. How are you not going to let those dark arts into your childhood?
Yeah. Gotta stay away from those dark arts.
But so they sneak out, speaking of seances, they keep doing them in the cemetery in the middle of night. Yeah,
they were a little bold in that respect.
And they've devised this very complex way of signaling each other in the middle of the night. Like the 2 girls have a string between their house with a bell, and then a flashlight system for the others, and then a walkie-talkie. But I want to know, how the hell did they string this string across the damn road to the other house?
They would have tied it to the one girl's window with the bell. Mm-hmm. Threw it out the window. Mm-hmm. Walked it over to the other girl's house. Threw it up on the 2nd floor.
Oh, well, you really thought this out.
Pulled it tight.
That happened.
It's not hard.
You get like a power truck for that.
So somewhere during that first seance, I think Christina Ricci's character says "fart ass."
Fart ass.
Like they don't cuss right at all.
They cuss decently well for 10, 11-year-old
But
girls.
I remember as a kid when you're hanging around just your friends, there's no adults.
Oh, I mean,
you start just putting words together that don't really make any sense at all.
I mean, our nephew's currently 11 years old, and while he doesn't cuss in front of us and allegedly doesn't cuss at all, he says some, like, faux cuss words that are not correctly used.
Oh, yeah. So we covered the pudding in the bra. So, so they do this seance, and they...
To bring back Dear Johnny.
Bring back Dear Johnny. I was getting to that.
Well.
To figure out how he died, because on the tombstone you can figure out that he was 11 when he died. something happened, like a storm rolls through and lightning strikes a tree when they do the seance, and then they all decide they want to figure out what happened to this kid.
Well, they go back to the cemetery after they'd run away from the lightning and the tombstones broke in half. And the one girl, Sam's dad left in the middle of the night before they went and did this seance, so she left her window open. And she went and did the seance, and when she was laying in bed in the middle of the night, the wind was blowing all of the stuff around her room like crazy, because she never closed her window. And she thought Dear Johnny came into her room.
Yeah.
And then they went back and the headstone was broke, and they were like, oh, we freed him. So then they have to figure out how he died. That's what their summer really turned into.
So they go to their library. They end up having to go to the next town's library to get the newspaper articles to figure out what's going on. But I thought the weirdest thing about that whole thing, free copies. Free copies. She didn't have to pay anything. She just rolled that big ass newspaper thing over, copied it, folded it up, stuck it in her.
I'd spoken like a true ex-college student that's salty as balls about making copies. I thought the weirdest thing about that was that as protective as Chrissy's mom is, that she had no idea that her daughter left town, went on at least, they'd been on the road for a while when they came up on the sign that said Greenfield was still 9 miles away. So, I'm going to say 10 or 11 mile bike ride to this other town all day and then back. Chrissy's mom had no idea. I was like, you're so protective and weird over her, but you have no idea where she is all day.
It was a different time.
I guess.
Even when we were young, I used to go outside, not come back until it was dark, and nobody ever said a word.
Oh, I should definitely be dead. That's all I care to say, but I should not have made it.
But on the way back from that town, they run into the boys. The boys are skinny dipping.
I think it was on the way too.
No, it was because it was getting late. They had to go home. That was Chrissy's excuse to get away from the drifter they end up running into.
It doesn't matter. I'm pretty sure that I'm correct,
But they run into the boys, and because the boys had thrown water balloons filled with Jello at them earlier, they steal the boys' clothes and take off. And eventually, they weren't nice enough to just launch everything up in the air so that
as they were running down the road,
get the clothes instead of taking them all away.
We just have to take a pause
for the pedophile moment
for my little teenage heart, because you keep saying the boys and glossing over it like it's not Devon fucking Sawa.
Yeah.
Okay, so to backtrack, we almost got divorced about 2 weeks ago. When I said something about Devon Sawa, and you said, who?
She then explained he was in Little Giants, and I immediately remembered who he was.
Well, first
I never knew he had a real name.
I went through all the things he'd been in, and you just looked at me blank-faced, and I was like, he's Stan from the Eminem video. And you were like, what? And I was like, he's in Little Giants. And then you were okay with it.
Yeah, I couldn't see the Stan thing, but I guess now I can. But Little Giants brought it home. Which we are definitely going to have to do in a couple months, football season.
He was, I would say, every girl's dream in the 90s. 100% every girl's dream.
I could see that.
I think he's solely responsible for every 90 girl's sexual awakening. And I have proof. Because I follow him on Twitter. Also, if you don't follow Devon Sawa on Twitter and Instagram, get your whole life together. His Twitter and Instagram are fire. So, on June 22nd of this year, he said, I would like to clear up the now and then lake nude Paul scene once and for all. Do you think a major motion picture would allow 4 young children to be naked on a set at any time? We were always wearing front socks. There's no Paul's reveal. Now, what he's talking about is that all of us in the 90s wore our copy of Now and Then out on the VHS, trying to pause it at the right moment to catch some Sawa dick.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. You think little boys are perverts? Little girls are awful. And all 4 of them saw it, so we wanted to see it too. And then, even later, I guess people had been tweeting him about it. Because I can't see the tweet he replied to, it's been deleted. But he was like, oh God, did you pause the scene where I bend down to pick up that towel? He knows. We were all awful. And now this poor guy's like in his 30s still hearing about how all these girls as teenagers were pausing it to see his dick.
Well, we're talking about this scene. If this had been reversed, and for whatever unknown reason that would cause 4 teenage girls or preteen girls to go skinny dipping, and then guys roll up and take their clothes, people would throw a fit.
I would say that's probably happened in an 80s movie before. I think people would only throw a fit now.
I mean, people are soft now. They need to... But it would be different. Everybody's like, they took their clothes. Not all. They're assholes.
They were assholes. That was revenge.
It was revenge. They did get the green Jello balloons thrown
That's
out.
right. They've been fighting the whole movie.
After that scene, they're on their way home. It's getting late. They run into the drifter, which is Brendan Fraser. What?
I'm sorry. Can I back up and say one more thing about them being naked? I like that Chrissy, who's just the goody-goody, doesn't look the first time.
But she wants to.
She wants to so bad. And they're all talking about his dick. And she's like, okay, if I don't look, then it's going to be the topic of the summer and everybody's going to make fun of me. So I'm going to look, but it's under protest. And then she sits there and she's like, it's not very big. And they're like, well, it only gets bigger when he has a heart on. And she's like, what's that? And then little teeny here is like, and when it does get a heart on, it gets this big. It holds her hands like 3 feet apart. But I'm sure terrifies little Chrissy. Go ahead with your Brendan Fraser moment.
So Brendan Fraser's walking by. He's trying to get your ride. There's a truck that passes, doesn't get him. They roll up on him, and Christina Ricci's character, Roberta, is like, I don't know, she was circling around just trying to feel him out. Like, you can definitely tell she was like the protector of the group at that point. And there's a farm there and a tractor. He goes and sits and he has a pack of cigarettes and he ends up giving them cigarettes.
Right.
Which I thought was weird. But not as weird as if I, back from the Vietnam War, wore out from walking, these 4 girls on bikes come through and I go to rest and they stop with me. I'm like, no, you bitches got to go. Like, we are not having this.
Right.
This ain't right. Get away from me.
He sat there. He answered all their questions. He gave them cigarettes.
It was weird. He gave them the one piece of advice that one girl took home because her dad had left and her mom was doing stuff. And that adults don't always know. Or they're not always right.
Right.
Basically.
I like that Chrissy sees his earring and she's like, oh my God, are you a hippie? My mom says all hippies are sex fiends. And he's like, well, your parents aren't always right. So the scene that's on right now is Roberta jumping into the lake that's kind of too shallow to jump into. And then she fakes her own death. She's like floating next to the shore. All her friends freak out and think she's dead. Apparently not for the first time. And they drag her up on the land, and they're arguing over who's going to do the mouth-to-mouth part when little sweet Chrissy pushes everybody aside and goes in to do the mouth-to-mouth. And she pops up and she's awake. And Chrissy just slugs her right in the face.
She also spit all that water in her mouth.
True.
But she wasn't really mad about that. She was mad that...
She scared her.
Playing dead or whatever.
Yeah.
And
because apparently it's not the first time, because her mom died.
Yeah.
Her mom died and she's kind of messed up about it. But yeah, she punched her real good.
So short time after this, they go see the Mystic. Janine Garofalo is the waiter at the thing, and she does the tarot cards for him. But I thought it was messed up. They gave $10 to her for that out of their stockpile for
which seems like a lot in 1970 money,
that was
right?
my point. Like 1970s, those 4 Cokes were $1.60.
Right. Coke floats. They had ice cream
okay,
too.
So they had Coke and ice cream.
Right.
Everything together was $1.60. So they hand this woman $10.
Right. I thought that was a lot too. Because
1970.
There was a psychic at a street fair I was at not long ago. She wasn't doing tarot cards, I think she was just doing palm readings. But she was asking like $10.
Yeah.
In like 2018 prices.
So she was getting paid.
Yeah. I think little kid, like they were trying. She told him to go away.
Yeah.
And they were just trying to like grease the palm, but I think they were just kids and maybe didn't know how much.
So after all that, they have the softball game. Or do you have anything else before that?
Well, first, oh no, the softball game is first. Roberta's up to bat in the softball game.
They go to the softball game. Roberta's up to bat, and there's this kid heckling.
Well, first, Devon Sawa's pitching. It's Scott. He's pitching. And he calls all of the outfield in.
He brings them in, so everybody... not only the outfield, the infield came in,
oh,
too,
yeah,
so
they were all, like, on his butt.
Yeah.
Which makes her mad. And he leans in and is like, this is for yesterday. So for throwing...
I thought he was going to hit her.
For throwing...
You thought he was going to hit her? I thought he was going to go right at her. Then he threw that underhand pitch, and she fouled it off.
Right.
And then the little asshole in the back is like, telling her to go home and play
Girls
with her dolls.
Play softball.
And she's like, basically, she throws her bat down. Is like, what the fuck did you say?
Yeah, she runs at him.
This kid is sitting on top of a wooden fence, and she clocks him, and he falls over into like where the cows are.
Yeah, and then she grabs him and drags him back.
He's trying to climb back, and she drags him and throws him over. She gets a full mount on this kid so quick, and then basically TKOs his ass in 10 seconds.
Oh yeah.
They pull him off. Then he starts running his mouth again, and the other girl...
Well, he said something about her... He was like, too bad your mom's dead. She could really... You need somebody to teach you respect or manners or to be a lady or some nonsense.
So then after that, Samantha comes running in.
Oh, she just ran in and tackled him.
So this dude gets his ass beat twice within a matter of
by two girls in front of the entire town.
He deserved the whole thing.
Oh, he absolutely did. So Roberta comes home. Was it Roberta?
Samantha comes home.
Samantha.
She's all...
Yes, Samantha
clothes
comes
are all
home.
Messed up, dirty.
Her dad has left. I think I mentioned that earlier. In the middle of the night. She comes home to her mom's new special friend.
Played by Hank Azaria.
Holding her baby sister. They have dinner, and he starts making plans to take them on vacation this summer, and on. And he spills his drink on himself, and the mom goes and gets him a dry shirt, and it's her dad's shirt. Like it's her dad's work shirt. Like it has his name on it.
Yeah, it was kind of.
And he says, he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, first date jitters." And I was like, "First date? This is your first date? And you're making like plans to take him on vacation and holding the kid? And why are all these kids involved in your first date? Like it just seemed real icky."
Maybe it was how they did things in the 70s. I don't know.
I guess. It just seems icky. Like, don't let... If something happens here, don't let some random bitch around my dogs is all I'm saying.
But that's why I wrote down a creepy date. Like, he was just a little too forward.
He's a little too
with
involved,
everything.
right?
And then, okay, if we had a kid, a daughter... Someone happens to me, I die. Your next dude meets the daughter and goes, "Oh, you're a looker too." Fuck. Oh.
Just like your mama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was creepy. Like, immediately, I was like, I can't stand this dude. I can't stand it.
Yeah, it was creepy. You're right. Then it shows Teeny's parents, who are full on just having a swingers party, right?
That's what it looked. I mean, it could have been a regular party.
It could have been.
But the way everybody was,
and
the
then
dynamic
it
just
pans
looked like
up,
swingers.
And her little ass is on the fucking roof.
Watching the drive-in movie.
Watching the drive-in movies.
Would you explain a lot? She seemed to be more free with her sexuality. And maybe she got that from watching what her parents did.
Well, later on, one of the girls asks if she likes her parents. And she's like, I don't really know my parents.
Yeah, they definitely were the...
Hands off.
Hands off, you go play.
Yeah. We got a bunch of other people to fuck.
Yeah. But the same night, Roberta gets to play one-on-one with Scott, Devon Sawa's character.
That's fucking right, she does. Devon Sawa, king of consent.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. I was like, short of pulling out like a piece of paper for her to sign and having his buddy notarize it. He made all the right steps.
They're sitting on like the sling, and
having a coke,
and he asks her twice if he can kiss her.
But she was like all nonchalant. She was like, "Yeah," and then as soon as she said yes, he scooted over real quick.
He was on top.
And she was like, "Oh, you want to do this right now?"
But he kisses her. He's like, oh, that was great. She's like, it was okay. You know, if you tell anyone, I'm going to beat the shit out of you, right?
Yeah.
But they also, in the voiceover, said that's the day she stopped taping her boobs.
Is it the next scene where Sam tells Teeny... She doesn't tell the whole group. She just tells Teeny about her
dad left.
And apparently, it's 1970. Nobody in their neighborhood has been divorced yet. So I guess she was ashamed of it or whatever. But Teeny has the best line in the whole movie. Because I've told people this all throughout everything.
Right.
All those people that you knew in school. That you thought, oh, they had it easy or they had the perfect life. They did. Like, everybody had their own set of problems to deal with. And she says, there are no perfect families. It's normal for things to be shitty.
Right.
And that just hit home.
But she said, even if it's normal, it still feels bad.
So I really like that one.
Well, it comes back, too, at the end. Did you catch it at the end? Yeah. They're like, as adults playing Truth or Dare, and they ask her if she's happy, and she said no, but I just thought it was normal for things to be shitty. Like at the end, Teeny tells her, in another 10 years, they say half the population is going to be divorced, and she's like, I doubt it.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, yep, nope, nailed it.
I think people just get married for the wrong reasons. Like, oh, I'm pregnant, I should get married because that's what you're supposed to do. But it's not always best for all parties involved. Like you don't have to go through all that if you don't want to.
I think a lot of people just do it very quickly.
Social pressure. Or meet somebody, get married 6 months later, and then figure out you don't really like that person as much as you thought you did.
I'm a big advocate of you need to live with somebody first see
if this bitch leaves the shampoo cap off one more time, I'm going to choke her.
Right, you need to know ahead of time how they treat their toothpaste tube.
Oh,
because how they treat their toothpaste tube is how they're going to treat you. Like, do you gently roll it from the bottom, or do you just squeeze that in the middle?
I used to squeeze it from the bottom, but the new stuff we got doesn't really do that.
That's right.
So I guess it makes it easier. It doesn't look as bad. So was it the next scene where it was that scene where she ripped her necklace off. She made two bracelets. And I thought
it was very sweet.
At first I thought it was weird that, it's 4 girls and they had paired off. I thought it was weird that they had paired off. But then looking back through my childhood and the people I knew, that's exactly what happened. Like, you had your group of friends, but you also had, your ride or die out of the group. Absolutely. Like, everybody was good in the group, but you could always trust the one person was closer to you than the rest.
Right.
So they're coming home. It's raining again. She loses her bracelet, and the bracelet slides down the storm drain.
Right, and then she goes to meet it.
She just dives right on it. I'm like, what are you doing
in the sewer during a rainstorm?
Like, y'all can get some more string and beads. Like,
well, it meant a lot to her. It was
so she gets in the storm drain. She finds her bracelet. She's trying to get out, but the whole time she's trying to get out, it just starts raining harder and harder. She can't climb up because all the bricks are wet.
Right.
Teeny is trying to lift the manhole cover that's above the sewer, or on the sidewalk part,
right
above the sewer
grate.
Which
we know from the Ninja Turtle podcast that thing's 259 pounds.
It's easy to move for a turtle.
That's right. Not for an 11-year-old girl.
Or a little douchebag Danny, if y'all remember that episode. He seemed to move it up quick, just one-handed.
Right.
But then Crazy Pete shows up, dives in and saves her. But when he dove in, they showed it so quick. He moves Teeny aside, he lifts the thing up, and you just see a splash. And I was like, did he just throw Teeny in there too? Is he just getting rid of 2 of them?
He really is crazy.
But no, he jumps down, grabs her, saves her, and then you could tell they're kind of huddled up together. They're already kind of scared because of what's happening, but he could tell they don't know.
Well, they've been scared of him through the whole movie. Yeah. Anytime they see him, they yell and they run. And he asks, why are you so afraid of me?
Yeah, you could tell he was frustrated, but he was sad about it.
Right. And they said, it's just weird how you only come out at night. And he was like, well, I don't really want to see anybody, and I don't think anybody really wants to see me. But they have this whole sad-ass exchange, and she does not say thank you for saving my life.
Yeah. She gets to kind of later. She came back.
She gets to it later,
at the cemetery and she was going to put flowers on Dear Johnny's grave. But that's when she realized, when they read the newspaper article, it immediately clicked in my mind that that's who that was. But I thought they were going to go another way with it.
It lists his dad as Peter.
Yeah. I thought they were going to go another way with it because he said, I don't think anybody wants to see me either. I was like, he was probably a suspect. But he just felt guilty because
he was at a bar.
When they were murdered at home, he was at a bar.
Right.
So he blamed himself. Like, if he was there, he could have stopped it. But he ended up being a good dude.
He is. And then Teenie, who grows up to be an actress later in the movie, says that every Christmas she used to send him a card with money in it.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
So
is the next scene where they go to Grandma's house?
They go to Grandma's.
Sam's grandma's. Who
is apparently a gambling fiend.
I don't know. I think she was on her way to catch some vitamin D.
One night
those old women.
One night
they could be late to gamble. They ain't gonna be late for that vitamin D.
No, one night she had to go play poker, and then the next morning, when she was supposed to be able to come over, her friends show up and they're like, "We gotta go now. We gotta get the good bingo cards."
I think they were doing that Kanye get ready for the summer workout.
No. But she refuses to tell him what happened to Johnny.
Well, hold on. She also has the biggest fucking cat I have ever seen. She throws this, lion cub out on the porch.
It was definitely a fat cat.
That thing was bigger than some dogs. It was weird.
That's true. That she refuses to tell him what happened to Dear Johnny because it was sad and she doesn't want to remember it. But she says that Sam's just like her grandpa and all this stuff he kept. So when she leaves to go play bingo or catch that D, whatever, they break into her house through the attic and go through her stuff.
And they eventually find...
He has the newspaper, what happened.
Roberta loses
Him and the mom were shot to death in a robbery.
Yeah.
And the dad was at the bar.
But Roberta, in a little bit feeling like... Because they were talking about if that could happen in this town, what do you think's happening everywhere else? Because it's a safe place. And it just kind of brought back the whole issue with her mom, and she loses it.
Well, her mom's dead, and her dad told her that she passed very quickly and felt no pain.
Of course he did.
But while they were at the library, she found the article of what happened to her mom, and she found out that she had been trapped alive and completely conscious in the car for an hour and a half while they tried to get her out. And then died the next day at the hospital from brain trauma and internal bleeding. I mean, that's a lot to take in for a kid, because you want to believe that your parents are always going to be honest with you, and that mommy died quick and everything was fine. And she seems more upset that her dad would lie to her about it than that she suffered. I think
it just came out that way because when you're young, two, when you're frustrated about something like that, you don't always put the blame on the right thing.
That's
true. Or you
true.
don't always connect it to the right thing. Things just come out and you lash out at the closest thing you can get.
Which at that time was Sam's grandma's beautiful antique mirror that she just threw something through.
I was like, well, there goes your luck for 7 years.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a lot. But you feel really bad for her. I have written down under Grandma's attic that this movie's a lot sadder than I remember. Everybody is all in their feelings in this movie, and I don't recall it being this sad, but boy, sure was.
But everybody, that's when they make the pact to come back,
anytime
be there
one
for
of them
each
needs.
other.
Yeah.
And Chrissy is having the baby. That's why they're all there anyway. But she has this baby,
right?
And the kid that
sits
came up to her on the fence during the softball scene is I guess he's a dentist and he's the father of this baby, has the world's most noticeable hair plugs.
I didn't notice.
Oh, how? Cabbage Patch Dolls have better hair than this dude.
I didn't notice. That's funny.
Then it shows
can I just say he missed the entire birth? Because he was doing a root canal.
He was getting paid.
Which I guess maybe been fine during the 70s, but you better put down your dental instruments and come the heck on.
They didn't schedule this birth. It was a surprise.
I'm just saying. Thank God her friends were there.
Well, that's why Roberta was there. She was the one that delivered it.
Well,
Yeah, she was fine.
there is that.
Back at the house, after all this, I don't know if it's the next day or when. It was very quick, seems like.
Right.
But who carries this newborn baby up these 3 rickety little ladder-type steps into this stupid-ass treehouse? It's like, I'll go up, you hand me the baby. You go up, I'll hand you the baby. Or is somebody just, like, carrying this thing while they're trying to, like, climb up there?
I didn't think so much about the baby, probably why I'm not a mom, so much as Chrissy's vagina. Because it's like the next day, well, like, after she's released from the hospital.
Very recent.
And she climbs up, like, these 3 things to the treehouse. She's sitting on that hard floor. And then they get out of the treehouse. Baby disappears. I don't know what happens to it. And they start playing Red Rover with the neighborhood kids. Yeah. And I was like,
Where is the baby?
I was like, her vagina is stitched up. She's bleeding. She's trying not to pee herself. She's got on those weird underwear with the pad in it. She's like, no. She's not playing Red Rover and climbing up to a damn treehouse. We better have this powwow in my bedroom.
Where's the baby when they're playing Red Rover?
I don't know. Maybe they gave it to the piece of shit dad.
The piece of shit dad. Now, in that scene, throughout this whole movie, the older Samantha, played by Demi Moore, has the weirdest fucking outfits on that you could possibly imagine. It is not possible for her to have a normal outfit like she did in that last scene. She has like a normal, like a black shirt, a black mini skirt type deal with black hose. It looked normal compared to everything else she's worn. Like, she just had on like a black suit kind of situation throughout the whole movie. She's very black. But it was weird, like it was like long gaucho pants. Are you telling me that you're Team Chrissy and maybe you should wear some pastels and try to catch a man? No, I'm just saying, like, the whole thing was weird. Like, because she looked like Jinko had made a, like, women's dress line. I think you're just catching them 90 vibes. No, it was so weird. But then she looked normal 90s in that very last scene. So there was a lot of products. You mentioned the Aquanet, Jiffy Pop, TV Guide. You love a product placement. I pay attention to that. Coors Light, Easy Cheese, Fresca. Chrissy's drinking Fresca when everybody else is drinking Coke, which I don't think people pay too much attention to the caffeine thing. Oh, she's like drinking Fresca, but her best friend's like smoking a cigarette right beside her. And there is one scene where she like holds her cigarette way out here, like trying to get it away from her. And I was like, you've been blowing it. Like there's 2 extra feet out. Yeah, like you've been blowing it in her face. They got Sears was in there because that's where they got that treehouse. Got that prefab treehouse. The Cosmo, Coke is all over the place. When Sawa at the softball game turns around and is like, hey guys, bring it in. Because she's a girl. I don't know if they purposefully did it or his shirt just happened that way, but his shirt's like... Oh, the Levi jeans. It wasn't Levi's, it was Lee's. It was Lee. It was the biggest Lee's tag I have ever seen. It looked very purpose. Can I say one thing about him real fast? She didn't so much decide she liked him when he kissed her. It was when he said they were playing basketball and he was like, you're really good. And she was like, thank you. And he was like, not just for a girl, like, just good for a guy. And she was like, oh, thank you. Twinkies. I mean, they didn't show Twinkies per se, but Chrissy's eating one. She was sure putting them away. And the pin tennis balls. Yeah, why did she have a 3-pack of tennis balls that she took to go have a baby? Do you squeeze them? I thought maybe like roll them on the back for like a massage situation, but it was weird like how in your face these tennis balls were. Oh, it's the dad's bowling shirt that she puts on the creepy boyfriend after he spills the wine. I was going to say it was a bowling shirt, but when he left, he was still like in his work clothes, and I think his button-up shirt was yellow, so I thought it could be. But the soundtrack was fire. It was good. You got Sugar Sugar from the Archies, I Want You Back by the Jackson 5, All Right Now. 2 Jackson 5 songs. I'll Be There, In a Rod, Daydream Believer. It wasn't bad. It was a good one. I would buy that soundtrack today. We got the Rips. The girl that played Teeny, the younger girl. Right. Ashley Aston Moore. Right. That was the only actor. But
no, didn't play Teeny. She played Chrissy.
Chris,
Played Chrissy, the goody good girl.
are you sure?
Yes, Teeny is very much alive.
Hmm.
She played her, and I thought it was. I mean, she's clearly not the character she played.
Chrissy, okay. I could have swore I've seen that girl.
No, she's clearly not the character she played in the movie, but it was kind of odd that the goody good girl died of a heroin overdose.
Fun fact, another rip, an owl. In the scene where they're doing the seance and the storm hits and the bird flies down, that was originally supposed to be an owl. The owl freaking dies. I don't know, like some point where they had to switch it out for a hawk. They used a hawk.
Interesting.
So, rip owl and rip Ashley Aston Moore.
Right.
So you want to do the reviews?
Well, I want to read this first.
Okay.
And then we'll do the
what
reviews.
What are you reading?
I want to prop this movie up before you rip it apart.
I'm not going to rip it apart.
So I found this online. I think it was a Bustle article. And it's just one paragraph out of it. It says, part of the reason these characters were so important was that for many of us, they represent the first time we had really seen ourselves on screen, in a film written and directed by women. They spoke our language, understood our fears, our desires, and our quirks before we could even name them ourselves. The other part, the bangin' soundtrack, of course, and the cast which featured 4 gifted young performers, then only at the start of their promising careers. But this, really was one of the first coming-of-age kid stories that was about girls.
A lot of people compared it to, like, a girl version of Stand By Me.
Kind of. I could see that.
I could see that.
But, you really don't think about seeing yourself represented too much. At least I don't think about it. But then when it happens, it's very exciting. Like, I was never, we're into superhero movies. And I was never like, oh, I need to see a female superhero movie. Why is this? Like, ah. But when they happen, I'm like, oh yeah, I could totally be Wonder Woman. I'm feel like...
Wonder Woman is...
Like, it's very exciting. And I feel like out of your group of friends, like, you can pick out, like, oh, I would have been this one, and this one would have been that one, and, like, you pick the girl that you identify with the most. Like, it had somebody for everybody. Like, in this article, I didn't screenshot that part, but it talks about her and her friends fighting over which one they wanted to be in the movie, and nobody wanting to be Chrissy. Even though they were all kind of Chrissy, nobody wanted to admit it.
So, this movie came out in October of 1995. Do you know how much they made?
I don't know anything.
$37.5 million, which seems low compared to today's standards.
Seems low for the greatest movie of all time.
I don't know the greatest movie. But, other things that happened in October of 1995, O.J. was found not guilty.
Huh.
The guy who killed that singer Selena was found guilty of her murder. The Million Man March in D.C. The Carolina Panthers won their first ever regular season game. But
you are a wealth of information. Lay these negative reviews on me, baby.
Alright, the Rotten Tomatoes, it got a 28% from the...
Critics,
I guess? The audience score. 28, yeah.
Your mouth.
Audience score was 83. So normal people...
What are wrong with those critics?
Probably the same thing that's wrong with all these 1-star reviews I'm about to read to you.
Okay, well I'm here to tear them all apart, cause they came for the wrong movie.
Adam from October 2016 gave it 1.5 stars.
This movie wasn't made for Adam.
Though being a well-acted movie by its cast. Now and then falls into the nothingness with a highly forgettable story that leads you nowhere, really.
I forgot that the audience can't see my stank face.
Now, here's my question. Basically, this movie is them coming home to reunite for her to have her baby.
Right. Okay.
The entire movie is basically them remembering that summer.
Right.
Where's old Adam expecting them to go?
Well, they make another pact at the end as well as adults to come back more often, like once a year or whatever.
But what was he?
I don't understand what he means by... I don't understand anything.
Here's what I think Adam's problem is. Did he like the movie? No. So I don't like it, so it sucks. But in reality, it's
just not for Adam.
Hey,
I bet Adam's girlfriend liked
I don't
it.
really like this movie, but it's not really my type of thing. I can see other people liking this movie. Adam should have recognized.
Man.
Adam and Keith probably live in the same neighborhood, drink the same city water. 1.5 stars. I couldn't even finish it. ... Boring.
I mean, was it an action movie? No. But it was a perfect telling of these 4 girls growing up together and their friendship and the things that happened to them that summer. I could definitely see the comparison to Stand By Me now that I'm saying it out loud.
Yeah, but it is what it was.
Yeah, I don't think it was boring at all.
They are who we thought they were. Now, this one is from a Sarah, obviously not you.
Not me.
1 star. Unrealistic coming of age movie was the title. And this is where I got to the casting. I thought the casting was pretty much on point for just getting some random people that kind of look, hey, could this girl grow into this girl?
Right.
Yes, because the girl who plays Samantha looks like she might possibly could grow into Demi Moore.
Right.
Now, a lot of people had problems with Christina Ricci, but I could see it. The children in this film are miscast. Christina Ricci grows up to look like Rosie O'Donnell? I don't think so. This movie is about 4 girls coming of age, and yet none of them talk about their period. Why is that?
They didn't talk about their period?
But it could have been just too early.
No. They all talked about their boobs, though.
So maybe they just try to do that and
I feel
not
like
reference it.
Periods are a real taboo thing to talk about, especially in 1990.
Not for old Sarah, because he gets...
Well, hold on. Especially in, 1995? Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
They weren't talked about. There's a reason that the liquid in the commercial is blue. People don't like to talk about it, so they're not going to put it in this movie. But they talked about their boobs and their changing bodies and...
So Sarah goes on to say, what is a coming-of-age movie without that? Referencing the period. Doubles down hardcore. The 1976 version of Carrie is a much better coming-of-age movie, and it even has a scene where a girl has her period. The movie is mean-spirited. For example, Richie's character pretends to be dead and scares the hell out of her friends. The girls want to know why a 12-year-old boy died and hold a graveyard seance in order to contact him. In this respect, the movie tries to be scary but falls flat. If you want scary, watch Carrie.
I feel like Sarah, did you say? I feel like Sarah might look forward to getting her period every month so she could stick her hand up there and smear it all over her face while she watches Carrie.
Yeah, the war paint.
Because this isn't supposed to be a scary movie. It's just, like I said, shit that preteen girls do. Yeah. We all did that weird, freaky stuff. I'm trying to think back. I don't recall talking to my friends about my period. I think we were just all shamed about it. Everybody was embarrassed about it. Nobody wanted to talk about it. We all thought we were dying. I mean, I know things are different now, but early 90s, nobody wanted to talk about it. I don't think I have a single friend that I talk to about my period. How about you?
I don't talk to anybody about my period. So this person, I have some thoughts on which I'll give after you give yours. Martin.
I'm noticing a theme in your reviews.
1 star. What's my theme?
Other than Sarah, they've all been dudes that didn't like this movie.
Oh, we got a good one from Kathy later.
Okay.
I had to take 2 screenshots just to get her bullshit in there.
Oh, shit.
Titled A Typical American Drivel. Now that comes into play later.
Okay.
For years I've been avoiding American movies. It's already come into play. In its first few minutes, this film reminded me why. American movies are obsessed with class. The first images are careful to demonstrate that all these girls turned out to be successful, air quotes, in some big way. Why? Do the movie makers look down on the working class? Or do they think we won't be interested in the grown-up versions of the characters if they are not shown to be, quote, successful? I suspect the latter. Either that, or people in the movie-making business don't know any working people except as underlings, so they don't know how to depict them. Keep your eyes open when watching American movies and TV shows, and you'll see this again and again. Even if it's a horror film where the family drives off into the dark woods, there to meet unimaginable terrors, the movie always begins by providing signals, houses, cars, that these people are very well off. I'm sticking with Japanese media. They seem more willing to depict the lives of average people. What are your thoughts on Martin?
Well, I feel like the one girl grew up to be an actress. But the other ones, like, she's a writer. You don't know how, like, famous she is. She's just a writer.
Well, she had the one award for the one book.
Okay, she's a writer. The one's a doctor. And the other one is just a housewife. I do not mean anything, by the way. I said just a housewife. Do not come for me. But she's married to a doctor.
To be fair, up until this point, Chrissy does not have any kids. She's literally not a mom.
Right. She's married to a dentist.
Or could be that she's just on maternity leave.
But here's what I'm saying. No, because even when she was little, her dream was, when I grow up and marry a rich doctor.
Well, then she's living her dream, man.
Right. But I'm saying I wouldn't necessarily say that doctors and dentists aren't working class. Like, I don't think they're as well off as Martin thinks they are. Also, these kids all kind of came from this pre-planned neighborhood, Gaslight Estates or whatever.
Yeah. Poor people don't live in those neighborhoods, especially then.
They were well off, so they were born with a leg up.
They were probably, I would say, middle class, but they were definitely, like you said, they're not struggling.
Well, I mean, here's one for them. Stand By Me. None of those kids, I mean, the one grows up to be a writer, but, like, the one dies in war, and...
I think he's hung up on the class.
Right.
So I feel like old Martin took a few tests to get into some schools or some programs and just couldn't cut it and just take it out on everybody else.
It just seems weird.
And he has one of those...
Also, a lot of those Japanese movies are messed up.
But they all have class in them.
I'm just saying.
They all go through their...
You ever watch Old Boy?
Like, Battle Royale. That's a good one. But he sounds like one of those people who, if there was a way to be trans-ethnical, this person would do it.
Like, we're in Grandma's house right now, and she's clearly, like, a well-to-do lady. Like, all of these girls came from, like, well-to-do backgrounds. Of course they grew up with a leg up. I don't know. I'm sorry that none of them are parking attendants or whatever.
Alright, this one's from Colonel Ted.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
A shoddy rehash of Stand By Me. 1 out of 10. Virtually every wannabe feminist film since Thelma and Louise has taken its cue from a male film.
Oh my God.
But instead of doing an imaginative variation like Thelma and Louise, has settled for an out-and-out rip-off and a simple-minded a girly remake of Stand By Me, which frankly doesn't deserve the humiliation of being mentioned in the same review. Demi Moore and company reminisce at their friend's baby wake 20 years later about the summer where they tried to solve the death of the boy in their town. However, that is merely a feeble plot device because what mostly happens is that the girls giggle about sex, talk about puberty, take revenge on boys, sing on their bicycles, and share each other's troubles. How fascinating. What little plot does go on is boring. Most perfunctory. I like how this person likes to use these big words but can't type. Like I sound like I'm having trouble reading. They're putting their thoughts together.
Welcome to me on every podcast. I always feel like I sound so stupid, and I'm like, I swear it's just because they haven't used a period in the last 4 sentences.
What little plot does go on is boring, predictable, almost perfunctory, and sickly sentimental pap. Stand By Me was a great rite of passage. Okay, he says great rites of passage drama. Stand By Me was a great rite of passage drama, script, and a performance to match, all handled superbly by director Rob Reiner. Now and then,
I think I'm done with Colonel Ted.
Now and then, it's simply a shameless waste of talented set of young stars who satisfy the whims of the older stars, especially Moore, who also produced and is further proof of her habit of wasting good talent for her own purposes. See also The Scarlet Letter. The only noteworthy thing in the entire film is how anyone could have thought that the elf-like Richie would have grown up.
Okay. Did you say They all reunited at her baby wake?
That is what he said.
Okay. Well, that's what stuck out to me. Okay, so I like Stand By Me as well. So fucking what? They're completely different movies. And even if they're not, even if it was a fucking shot-for-shot remake of Stand By Me, but with girls, it meant something to somebody. It meant something to all the little girls that felt underrepresented by all the other fucking movies. And I'm sorry that offended Colonel Ted.
Colonel Ted, 1 out of 10.
Shit don't even get 10 stars. Like, movie reviews end at 5. Like, he just made up some bullshit.
Now, and the whole Christina Ricci, Rosie O'Donnell thing.
I mean, you just gotta feed her. Like, is she a tiny waif of a thing still in 2019? Yes. But if you give her cheeseburgers, she'll quickly turn into Rosie O'Donnell.
You can see it. Like, the title is Stay Away with an exclamation point.
Wow.
1 star. Some say this is an inspirational movie for young girls. Just so you know, they are wrong. If you're a parent, do not show this to your child. It promotes sexism in the worst ways. The girls as children are all persecuted by boys. This is taken to the absolute extreme. This is not real life. Every interaction with the boys that these girls have, they act as if they are being attacked. In response, they proceed to become violent, physically, verbally, and by their action. This is a horrible movie and a bad influence. 0 out of 10. He is sympathizing with the boys, saying that they're being portrayed incorrectly. I disagree. Like, I think
he seems like a real anti-feminist to, like, the extreme. It seems, this part's set in the 70s. And, I wasn't alive, but it seems real on point to me. Like, the little boys are little boys throwing balloons at the little girls. And then they catch them skinny dipping and they... the one guy gets his ass beat, but he's also deserves it and is being an asshole. And actually, I don't think the guys are unfairly portrayed. And even the freaking guys... They make up. They make out.
His name is Stud Manly 47.
Oh, get the... No. You can at me, Stud Manly. I got questions. I want to know who hurt you. It's okay now.
It's probably everybody. So, alright, we're going to go to Kathy, and this is going to take a while.
Oh, God. I don't know if I have a while for Kathy.
Oh, Kathy put her last name on here, but I'm not going to say that. Kathy gave it 2 stars, though.
Alright, well, we're getting better, I guess.
Too many problems with the whole mystery premise. There were so many problems with the whole mystery and the scenes surrounding that I'm really surprised at all the 5-star reviews. For instance, didn't anybody think it was ludicrous?
Ludicrous?
That's what she was meaning.
Is that what she's going for?
Ludicrous that Grandma, played by Cloris Leachman, agreed to see the 4 girls when she knew she had an appointment, and 5 minutes or less later, she was already late. And then she didn't tell them what they were burning to know because it took me too long to get over the trauma of it, or something like that. Not to spoil anything, but three question marks. The horrible thing was ridiculously guessable. And they go to the library to find pages ripped out of a pertinent article. Someone spent a lot of trouble to keep anyone from knowing. A lot of trouble to rip out some pages, and the mystery is such that who cares if people know? And why was Grandma the only one they could ask? Wasn't there anybody else her age or older that would remember? She looked like she was no older than 60, and she was way older than 60. And Crazy Pete's explanation for his nocturnal behavior, so lame. And so Christina Ricci / Roberta grew up to be Rosie O'Donnell. Chrissy was the one always saying, "Do you think I'm fat? And if I don't eat every few hours, I get nauseous." How did she end up not being Rosie O'Donnell? But she had to hang up on Chrissy as a girl being, like, minutely bigger than the rest of the girls. Proportionally, I guess. Might have been her face.
She was also shorter.
She was shorter. I gave it an extra star for Janine Garofalo. But this movie was built on a house of cards and the performances were poor.
What, Kathy? I don't think Kathy has any good friends, because when one of our friends said, I'm about to have my first baby, we dropped everything we had. We drove 2 hours and sat in a waiting room until 2 or 3 a.m. when you had to work at 9 a.m. the next day and we were going to have to drive 2 hours back.
Yeah.
Like, when your friend says, you're just fucking there.
Yep.
Like, when you have a good friend and they need something, you don't ask questions. You cancel appointments. You cancel things. You get where you need to be. Like, these girls were friends for their entire life. Her mom was dead. You never saw her dad. I don't know if he was in the picture or alive or what. The mom was dead because she lived in the house. The husband was busy doing 24/7 root canals, apparently. She needed her friends.
Yep.
Wow. And I'm sorry that they didn't do another 30 minutes on the movie running around asking every elderly person. Like, maybe all of their other grandparents were dead. Maybe they didn't have an elderly...
Anything else on old Kathy here?
And I don't know why people were getting so hung up on this murder mystery. Like, it's not what the fucking movie is about at all. Like, it happened during the movie, but it's not the plot, it's not the theme. It's not at all what the movie's about. Ah, now I'm just angry.
I feel like Kathy has a lot of,
And why are people so convinced that a skinny 11-year-old can't grow up to be a bigger person?
Or, what, in Kathy's opinion, was a bigger 11-year-old being a skinny person.
She wasn't even skinny. She was just normal.
Yeah.
And she's like, when they're kids, she's like a good 6-7 inches shorter than the rest of them.
Well, kids are like puppies.
All she had
puppies
to do...
look awkward.
Yeah, all she had to do was hit a growth spurt and she was going to be the skinniest one out of any of them.
Yeah, like this scene where she's going into labor. That is the weirdest get up.
The pants?
That burgundy blazer
with
the
jumper
suspenders pulled up to her tits.
It's just very 90s, man.
White tennis shoes here.
Right.
Like, but then she looks normal in the final scene.
I want to go back to Captain Dick Ass.
Captain, you mean Colonel Ted?
Yes, sorry. My respects, Colonel. He's the one that had a problem with the feminism, right? No, that was Stud Muffin, 74 or whatever.
Well, he also mentioned virtually every wannabe feminist film since Thelma and Louise has copied a male film.
It kind of just reminded me of Mom. Because I know I've heard several stories from her and from my grandparents about her getting into these knockout, drag-out fights with boys. So it's not above the realm of possibility here that this group of girls and this group of boys got into fights.
No, especially if they were in the same neighborhood.
Right. They were constantly picking at each other.
These kids grow up together.
I'm surprised one of them didn't grow up to marry him.
Well, the girl married the kid from the softball game.
And what did they think Thelma and Louise was a ripoff of?
They didn't. They thought Thelma and Louise was an original.
Okay.
Every other feminist film since Thelma and Louise has been an out and out ripoff. Not just a ripoff, out and out.
I don't agree. What do you think?
I mean, it's comparisons to Stand By Me are there. But,
I could see the similarities.
Which we are going to do at some point in the future.
Right.
We'll talk about it then. But I mean, it's a movie. Yeah,
It's a movie?
Unlike Keith and Adam, I understand this movie isn't for me, but I like it's not my cup of tea, but I don't think it's terrible.
I don't know if you watched me while we watched it, but like I was literally just grinning ear from ear the entire time we watched it. Also, my like 11-year-old self, I would have been 11 when it came out, definitely thought Devon Sawa was in it a lot more.
He really wasn't.
He wasn't. He was in like 4 scenes. He's also in Casper, which all the girls were like, oh, he's in fucking Casper. He's in Casper for like 30 freaking seconds as himself.
Well, when you said Casper the other day, and I was like, no, Casper's a ghost.
Yeah, but he turns into
like,
himself.
Is he the voice? Like,
he turns into himself, kisses Christina Ricci, and then goes away.
It's weird how you'll see groups of people in the same movie.
Well, same age. Apparently somebody's got to kiss Christina Ricci, and Devon Sawa's like, I got this. I know how to do this one. Oh, the scene that's on right now, she had the baby, and it came out goopy. Like, it came out bloody as hell, and usually they don't do that in a movie. Especially at that time, like, they had a baby and it comes out sparkling clean.
Well,
I feel like that's the woman that directed it, was like, no, like, that baby needs to be covered in blood and throw some eggshell on it, and...
Yeah, they don't look...
cute at all.
No, it is a dumpster in there.
It's gross.
There's shit everywhere. There's chunks.
Yeah. And they put it all on that baby.
It was a good movie, I'll say that. There were some cheesy parts. Mainly, the cheesiest part I thought was the beginning Red Rover scene where the girls are like, we're gonna get this kid, and they do the whole, like, forearm to forearm grip, and they're, like, going after this kid when he goes, and then they gently, like, lay him down.
I didn't think they gently laid him down. I pretty much thought they
wanted to make it look like they planted him.
They did.
But you could tell, like, the younger girls doing the acting, they were trying not to hurt anybody.
I don't understand how that's cheesy. If that's anything, it's just a bad effect.
It's not really a bad effect, because they didn't really do any effects.
Cheesy's like...
I don't know, there was some cheesy.
I think you're using the wrong word. Stop talking about my movie.
It's alright.
I don't know if our love can survive you calling this movie alright and asking me who Devon Sawa is inside in a month together.
It'll be alright. We made it this far.
Who's Devon Sawa?
I thought it was weird that whoever it was a captain. Colonel Ted mentions Demi Moore as like as the lead person.
Right. She is. She's the narrator.
I know she is the narrator, but to me it was Christina Ricci for some reason. Even though it wasn't her.
Well, she's the narrator, and they tell her, Chrissy tells her she needs to write about something she knows, something that's personal, to stop writing about all the sci-fi stuff. And then she's narrating it, and I kind of assumed, God damn it, just like fucking Stand By Me, son of a bitch. I kind of assumed she was the narrator because she was writing the book about that motherfucker.
So is this a regular ripoff or an out-and-out ripoff? Either way.
I think it's coincidence.
I'm with you in thinking that because little girls at the time got to see, hey, these people are just like us. That maybe, even if it was a ripoff, if they did it for that.
I think little girls did a lot of weird stuff. And we all thought we were the only ones that did those weird things. And I think seeing in a movie other people doing that stuff matters. Like, still to this day, like, okay, we have the Instagram for this podcast. And I was following stuff and liking stuff, and there was a picture of these Little Mermaid McDonald toys. And some girl was like, oh, did anybody used to, like, fake shave their leg with Ariel's tail? And I was like, dude, I always fake shave my leg with Ariel's tail. Which is the most random weird thing you could come up with, but if there's two of us doing it, then there was a whole bunch of freaking girls doing it. You know?
Yeah.
So it matters to see that, like, it's okay to be like Roberta and be the tomboy, or it's okay to be Chrissy and dress head to toe in pink, and it's okay to be teeny and really into your boobs and sexuality. Like, it's all okay. It's okay to be like Sam and into sci-fi and ghosts and goblins.
I can see that.
It means something.
But so you are drawing more comparisons to Stand By Me now that you talked about it.
Well, just as I talked about the narrator writing, and in my head, it doesn't say she's writing a book. It was just in my head. I was like, oh, she's writing this book. Which is how Stand By Me ends. Him writing the book. I mean, there are comparisons, of course. But it's different. And again, like I said, I don't care if they were like, okay, here's what we're going to do, guys. We're going to rip off Stand By Me. It doesn't matter to me.
You enjoyed it.
I did.
Did you think it held up?
Yes. I loved it.
I thought it, from being from 1995, so...
I'm probably going to watch it again tomorrow.
24 years ago?
24 years ago.
I thought it was fun.
Oh my god, I feel so old right now. Oh, God. I could not be old enough to have paused a tape to look at a kid's penis 24 years ago.
Yeah. Well, technically, remember when we said, movies used to take so long to come out on, like, VHS or DVD to rent or to buy. This says, it came out in October of 1995. And then it says on disc in 1999.
Wow.
So I can only assume that it took that long. But I mean, I don't feel like that's got Marvel
right.
movies come out December. By May, you have a Blu-ray in your hand.
That's crazy.
Or you could buy it just digitally.
I found a little disturbing and upsetting was that people were still tweeting him about they could never get it to work on their VHS, so that they're trying it on, like, the DVD and on the streaming services. And I was like,
how much money do these people have to
buy
these formats?
Here's the thing, guys. It's okay when we were 11 years old to pause the DVD to try to see
But if you're still trying to this day...
But if you're a 30-some-year-old woman trying to see what was at the time, like a 14-year-old's dick, you going to jail. There's something wrong with you. Or
you'll just get 10 years probation.
And he's in a lot of new movies. I'm sure there might be a pausable scene in one of those. Go check him out as an adult.
Yeah, it is creepy.
It's creepy.
Like if I was sitting there trying to like, if there was a scene where Christina Ricci was...
Like, if I caught you, like, pausing it where she was taping down her boobs, I'm 100% calling the law. Be like, I'm sorry, I live with a monster. Could you come and get him, please?
Yeah, that would be creepy as fuck, right?
Yeah.
So y'all are nasty.
No. There's no y'all to this. Like, I fully admit to doing it when I was little. I will not be doing it as an adult. That is a problem.
I was trying to figure out how much money they made, but I cannot find that. Oh, they had a $12 million budget, so they made $25.5 million.
That's not bad, right?
No, anytime you make $25.5 million. You know how much money you make when you make $25.5 million? $25.5 million.
Does it make you feel weird that they made $25.5 million off the backs of little girls trying to catch some peen?
And people had a problem with it because they didn't talk about their periods.
I know I said it a minute ago. I don't think I ever talked about my period with another girl. Like,
I know that you have.
I wanted, like, not at that age. Like, at that age, like, I wanted it to go away. I was embarrassed. Like, if somebody even would have said something about period to me, I would have died a million deaths.
Like, maybe it's because I'm a guy and I don't fucking have periods. But when I think of coming of age movies, even if they're about girls, I'm not gonna assume that it's gonna have that in there. Like,
right.
It's just gonna have memories from middle school, high school.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like,
things that happen. You don't. I mean, unless you had a real embarrassing moment, or like you bled out.
Yeah, like when you're thinking back on it, you remember the most memorable things. Like, not that time I told my best friend that I started my period.
Like, if you have some kind of medical disorder, like...
Well, the period scene is in Carrie, because she starts her period at school in the shower, and all of the girls trap her in the shower and throw tampons at her. Like, it's the scene that cracked her.
Yeah, they basically hazed her.
Like, it was a turning point in the film.
It's just weird. People's hang up.
That is a weird hang up. Like, I've never...
Like, Stand By Me is a coming-of-age movie of boys, but they don't show them jacking off for the first time.
Yeah, they don't talk about, oh my god, I had a wet dream last night. Has your dick ever gotten hard? That's weird, right?
Like, the truffle shuffle would have been a little bit different.
Wow.
Is that all you got?
Yeah, I think we've talked it to death.
Alright. So this has been the Run It Back podcast, where we run back everything from the 80s and 90s. Thank you for listening.
You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Run It Back Pod, and Twitter at Pod Run It Back. But again, to be 100% honest with you, just give us a follow on Instagram. It's where we're the most active.